Of the
First,
show.
thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Today, we're going to look at our teams, look at what our holes are, what our strengths are, all that stuff. We're going to dive deep into it. But first, I have a very important question for you, Lance. Which is the most condescending bear?
I have no idea.
A panda.
That one wasn't bad. That was pretty good.
Probably a solid B. Probably a solid B.
Yeah, you've had better, but you've had worse, so not too bad.
It was bearable.
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Andrew. Let's give the people what they came for.
Yes, everyone, bear with us here for a second. We'll get there. All right. Enough of that.
Oh,
So
good.
let's jump right in. So I think I'm going to start this fun exercise because of what just happened literally last night on Thursday evening. Minnesota decides to break the news of signing Juwan Jennings to a 1 year. They always have to say up to $13 million. I don't think there's a chance he's making that because that's all incentive based and he's our wide receiver three. But the base is 1 year, 8 million, which that's kind of a steal because Jawan Jennings, he's a really good player. He had 9 receiving touchdowns last year for the 49ers. He was kind of in a way, their best receiver. I mean, I know they like Pearsall a lot. Pearsall has potential, but I kind of would have put Jawan Jennings above Pearsall. And now he's our three. I think that's a phenomenal move, a really good deal. Jawan Jennings was obviously looking for a long-term deal, making good money, making 15 to 20 million a year. I mean, all these like sites like Spotrac and PFF, they had an average annual value of about 22 million a year, and we got him for at the minimum 8, most 13, which I still don't think he's making 13. I think that's a really good deal from Minnesota, and it fills our biggest hole going into the offseason as of yesterday because the draft we addressed some holes like we mentioned before, it looks like they've improved their quarterback position, whether that's Murray, whether that's McCarthy getting better. Their biggest hole at that point was wide receiver three because we have Jefferson, we have Addison, elite 1-2 combo. But then our third wide receiver was you could you could guess because no one really knew. Was it Ty Felton, our third round pick last year that didn't do anything? Maybe. Was it our returner, Miles Price? But now we have Juwan Jennings as a wide receiver three. So Minnesota's top three receivers, we can put up there with most teams. I I really like what they did there. Um, so that was their biggest hole, and they got it filled on a really cheap contract, honestly. So and Juwan Jennings is going to be motivated to try to show out because he wants that big contract. He wants that bag, and he's going to be a free agent again next year. So it's just really good move Minnesota did. I loved it. He is a really good blocker, and all signs point to Minnesota is going to want to run the ball a little bit more because drafting a fullback in the fifth round, Frank Smith coming over as the assistant coach, he's a big time in the run game and the O line, and we addressed a lot of O line problems. So I do like what I'm seeing there. And so with what's remaining on Minnesota, our biggest hole, I believe, is kind of twofold. I think it's the running back room because I mean Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, they're solid, but they don't knock your socks off. They're both kind of one-dimensional, and Aaron Jones is old and he gets hurt a lot. He doesn't have that quickness, that burst anymore. Jordan Mason, he's more of a pounded up the middle, but he's never going to run by you. He doesn't have that elite speed. He's always going to be, he's one of those players that if you need 3 yards, he'll get you five. If you need 5 yards, he'll get you five. If you need 8 yards, he'll get you five. That kind of thing. He's not going to get to that second level hardly ever because he doesn't have that speed. He can break tackles. He's great in the red zone, scoring touchdowns, but it just He's not going to get you 20, 25-yard gains. You're just not going to get that from Jordan Mason. And even Aaron Jones nowadays isn't going to do that. I like the Damon Claiborne pick. He's got that elite speed, that breakaway speed, but he's got a lot of question marks too. He had some fumbling issues. He had some drops in the pass game. He's not a good pass blocker, pass protector, but he does have that elite speed. So if he could be developed, he might have something. But I have little concerns about a running back room overall because it's just not the best. Um, and then our next biggest hole, it's edge rusher depth because we traded Jonathan Grenard, obviously, which I agree with the move. I like what we got back. I like it for both sides, but edge rusher depth is an issue now because Dallas Turner and Frank Eagle, I love those two starters. Awesome. Behind that, though, it's not a lot. I mean, honestly, the next three edge rushers we have were all undrafted free agents the past couple of years. Now, a lot of potential in those guys, but they're not anyone that strikes fear into O linemen. What I think we're going to do is Jake Galday is going to kind of split time as an off-ball linebacker and an edge rusher, depending on what's needed. I think he's going to be everywhere, which is helpful, but we still need some depth at edge rusher. So I think those are Minnesota's two biggest holes right now, outside of how the quarterback's going to play. But they have players there, so I don't know if that's technically a hole. It's just a question mark. But our running back room as a whole, and then our edge rushing depth, that is still a hole and a concern. Edge rusher three, edge rusher four. Who do we got there? Because now it's kind of low. And then to spin it on what our strength is, it's kind of interesting because Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings front office has focused on fixing what has been a problem the past couple of years, and they have fixed it big time, and that is the trenches. So starting with the D line, but they tried last year. Got to give them credit. They tried with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, but they just didn't pan out. Especially in the run game. Our run game was awful. We were getting up like 120 yards a game. They still rushed the passer okay. They had some pressures, but they couldn't stop the run. So our D line was a big problem. What do? We get rid of those two and we draft Caleb Banks and Dominic Orange, big citrus. That has potential to have a really good D line now. Potential. I mean, you can't truly know from a rookie, but as far as talent and what's been scouted from them talent wise, not health, it's a different thing, but talent wise, I believe that that has been addressed and fixed. I love Jalen Redmond. I love our depth behind that with Levi Drake Rodriguez and Taki Taimani. There's some dudes. There's some dudes. Our D line looks pretty good now. But what's even more interesting is our offensive line is all of a sudden really deep. And that's because last year it was not, and it showed because we had some injuries all year long. Our backups had to play a lot, and they were terrible. So what does KOC and Rob Brzezinski and our front office do? They make sure that ain't going to happen again. So what do? They go and sign a tender offer to Vandermark, the offensive tackle from the Bills, who started a lot of games for them. He's a good backup. He's not a starter, but he's a good backup. And we signed him for, was it like 5 or 6 million? It wasn't much. And the Bills didn't match it. All right. So now we have a really good backup. We draft Caleb Tiernan in the third round, who a lot of scouts thought is a potential starter. So he's also going to be a really good backup. That fixes the tackles. So we have Darisaw, we have O'Neal as our starters, a really good backup behind them that we can trust, potentially, at least just on paper. And then we have issues at backup guard or backup center. So what do? We sign two guys that have potential, again, potential to back those spots up in the undrafted free agent market. We signed Tristan Lee to the max offer you can sign anyone. Now, he played, I think, left tackle at Clemson, but everyone said that he was the best offensive lineman as far as their coaching and their team, and then Blake Miller wasn't, and Blake Miller was a first-round pick to the Lions. So Tristan Lee is very interesting. He's got a little bit shorter arms, so there's some speculation that he could transition into interior O-line, like guard. So he could be our backup guard this year. He's got a lot of potential skills, a lot of potential traits. So that's really interesting. And then a backup center, we and again an undrafted free agent, we signed Delby Lemieux, who he was again a tackle, but he was snapping at center at the oh at the summertime scouting combine things for the college kids. Um, at all those like summer trainings they were doing, he was snapping at center at the Senior Bowl, all that. So he's got some center capabilities. So he could be our backup center. So all of a sudden, our O line is very deep to where if anyone gets hurt, it sucks, but we trust who's behind them. So I really like what they did at O line. I think O line all of a sudden is a strength because of our depth. Our one question mark is can um, can our center, our starting center, Blake Brandel, can he truly do it? Because he was a tackle going into guard. Now he's a guard going into center. He played center for us last year. He played fine. He wasn't elite, wasn't great, but it wasn't like, oh boy, kind of thing. Can he be a little bit better? We'll see. That our center spot is our one question mark on our O line. But outside of that, I really love our depth. The Minnesota Vikings O line is going to be scary because injuries happen, yes, but behind them, there is some good depth there. So that's Minnesota's biggest holes, and what I think is their strength right now is their O line depth. You're muted again.
I'm having a terrible time with that today. But I think they should call Damon Claiborne Clifford Franklin. I don't know if you remember who that is.
Oh my gosh, the replacements.
Yeah, but that's
I
until
like
you were
that.
describing him. I was like,
I
is
like
this
that.
Clifford Franklin? Because he sure sounds like Clifford Franklin.
I like that. I
Um,
like that comparison.
just have him throw some glue on his hands before he goes out there for a
hmm
pass.
Or if they hand him the ball, make sure he doesn't fumble. Now, the ironic thing is, before last year, he had no problems with fumbling or catching the ball. Was last year an anomaly? Maybe. Or was that the sign of a problem? Maybe. We'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah, it's too early to tell. For the Eagles standpoint, um, I the Makai Lemon move is growing on me. It really is.
hmm
Did not even have him as a possibility. I thought he would be drafted by the Dolphins or the
hmm
Ravens. There were
The
several
Ravens would have
teams
made
that
a lot of sense.
I
Yeah,
just
the
thought
Ravens would
made
have made a lot
way.
of sense.
Well, the part that's just weird is like it would have been a double win. You get a guy that could help your team, and you hurt the Steelers.
hmm
I just that's the part I'm still just a little baffled by.
I do like the signing that the Ravens had and that guard they got from Penn State. He's awesome. He just fits what they do. But yeah, Mekhi Lemon would have been really, a really nice pick.
I just yeah, it's anyway. But I really like it. The Eli Stowers, I don't know what to think because I have heard good things about him, but I have also heard he's not a blocker, and that really,
hmm
really worries me because
hmm
we have got to have better blocking from tight ends this year than last year. So I hear he's willing, but not very good at it. So we'll see. Um, but I think that helped. Markel Bell, I think, is a great uh, swing tackle, and he's the second swing tackle. Fred Johnson's the first, so I think that that's great that we
hmm
have two reliable, hopefully, swing tackle options. The Cole Payton draft pick, I'm not a fan of. I keep hearing how it's compared to Taysom Hill. We didn't need a Taysom Hill. I will give Howie Roseman the benefit of the doubt, but I think most likely we will look back and say, yeah, that was a dumb move. That's my opinion. It's the fifth round, so it's fine. But yeah, the Micah Morris drafting in the sixth round, it's fine. Cole Wisniewski, it's fine. And Uwar Bernard is the one I'm really watching from this draft. I really
hmm
want to see where this guy goes. He wears a size 18 and a half shoe. Unbelievable.
He's a massive human being with a ton of athleticism.
If he can figure out how to play the game, I mean, you
hmm
have to be very patient with him. But if he can
Yes.
figure out how to play the game, the question I have, and I don't know about this, can he be their international player spot?
Yes, he can, but with that, that doesn't flow into the 53. That so in the offseason he doesn't count. But whenever it comes down to cut downs, He has to be on the 53. You can't have 54 with an international player, but he does qualify for the IPP. So you guys can have 91 in your off-season like OTAs and stuff. But
Can
once
you
you get
can
down to
you keep
53, he has to be just a 53 member.
can he be a fifth international player? Like I thought that there was a potential to have like an additional international player for the practice squad. Am I remembering that wrong?
The practice squad, maybe, yes, but you
Not for the
can't
NFL roster.
not for the full roster, yes. So and practice squad members can be sniped. So that's something you have to be careful about. But because Minnesota's going through that same thing, we signed up an Australian punter named Brett Thorson. It's a great name. It's a great name for a Minnesota Viking, but um, he qualifies as our IPP, our International Pathway player. But that gives us 91 in the offseason. But once cut downs come, you got to be on the 53 if you're going to make it. You can't be like the 54th kind of guy. But I think the practice squad, I think that does count.
Yeah, I think he can. He can be on the practice squad as an international player.
Hmm.
Um, but as you're pointing out, he could be sniped. But I'm thinking that might happen. We'll see. But
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Do the Eagles decide to just put him as the 53rd player on the 53? That way, no one can steal him. It depends on what they see in the in camps. If they love what they see and they think we don't want to lose this guy, they probably should put him on the 53. If they say, well, he's still very raw, I don't think anyone's going to steal him. Maybe you try to get him on the practice squad. That's going to be very interesting to see.
yeah, I mean it's tough. You get down to it, and it's tough to manage
Hmm.
everything. But I am definitely monitoring that one. I think that that's a very interesting situation. So um, we will see how that changes. For needs, the Eagles definitely need to address safety. It went unaddressed, and I know you could say
Yeah,
Wisniewski was picked, but seventh
that's
round
the seventh
player.
round. Yeah.
Now Kenny Moore, I think is his name from the Colts, got released,
Hmm.
and a lot of
He's
people
more
are
of a slot
thinking that
corner. He's more of a slot corner.
I would say though slot corners have the potential to switch over to safety easier
Sure.
than the traditional corner. I
Yeah.
think because
Sure.
they play a rangy position. So I would just say that monitor that. Let's see what happens there.
Hmm.
Let's see if that comes together. But wouldn't count towards the comp pick because we're past that
Hmm.
now.
Yep. Yep.
Um, would address a large position in the Eagles' secondary still remaining to be fixed. And the way Harry Roseman left it was that they will still look at fixing the position. I think Kenny Moore could make sense. You're not having to trade any
Yeah.
draft capital.
That's fair.
Um, he's still on the hook for some salary from the Colts, which would help offset cost to you. So I am watching
Hmm.
that as a hole that needs to be addressed. Um, I'm fine everywhere else, honestly. Like Edge, I think we're good. Jonathan Grenard, I think, takes us over the top
Hmm.
of being in a good spot. And everything I've heard is that Brandon Graham will be back with the team at some point. It's just a matter of when. I don't know if that'd be sometime during the season again or if it would be at the beginning of the season. I think he's definitely going to happily exempt himself out of training camp, which I don't blame him at all for.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I that's kind of the things I'm watching right now for the Eagles. But that's pretty much it for me. There's not much else happening in Eagles land. There's a little bit of GM moves that have happened, but nothing I think that
Hmm.
really warrants deeper dives as far as from
Yeah.
our standpoint.
Yeah. And speaking of GMs, Minnesota is doing their search for GMs right now. I'm not going to dive into it because it's just having conversations with the people and they're talking to a lot of assistant GMs with like five or six different teams. So that's just the process. Once one gets hired, I might dive into it, but for now, it's just like, all right, we're doing our search. I think Brzezinski still has the best chance because he's internal and they know him, but it's not guaranteed. So we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, I am also very interested in UR Bernard. What's going to happen with him? Because he's just the ball of clay. He has the potential to be awesome or potential to be thank you for trying out. We wish you the best kind of a thing. It's one of those two. It's like nowhere in between. He's not going to just be a roster guy like, yeah, we'll keep him on the roster. No, he's either going to be awesome or he's not going to be able to learn the game, which seventh round draft pick, that's what you do. So I'm really interested in see that.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
All right. Well, I think we should do our own power rankings next week, and then we need to start thinking about doing what we did last year, which is going through each division and especially the divisions we're in and picking the winner with certain records and seeing how close we are. I think that should be a lot of fun, and then we'll dive into some fantasy talk. There's a lot to talk about in this offseason still. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yep. Agreed.
Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.
We'll see everybody.